The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Amazonia.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians watch ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 4 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
Greetings and welcome back to our program Ethics for an Emerging Nation. In today's program, before we take off, I want to greet all the Ambazonian people and to let you know that as it was last week, so it will be today and very, very powerful because I have a team of experts that are with me in the studios today, in the persons of Dr. Tom Dula and, of course, our elderly statesman, Barrister Tim. And at this juncture, before we kick off, I would like to just invite them into the studios to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because we are the globe, and the globe has different time zones. So, beginning from you, Dr. Tom, say hello to the people of Amazonia as we get set to push on. Over to you.
Good evening, Pastor Commando. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians on home front and in the diaspora. A special greetings to our Ambazonian State Army, our young men and women sacrificing their lives for our freedom. My name is Tom Dola, the Vice Chair of the Ethics Commission led by Maduro Tingwa. I'm from Babisi LGA, Ngoketunja County. I'm happy to be here today to talk about how we show love for our country, Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, how patriotic we should be, and what patriotism is. Thank you.
Thank you. And here comes our barrister team, the man you should have heard and known. Over to you, sir. Hello to the people of Ambazonia and the world over, watching and listening to the wonderful wisdom God has endured upon the people of Ambazonia.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. Thank you, viewers, for having me and for having us. Once more, we are here for the routine, which we think will help us individually, will help us as a nation. So as we converge on this to discuss patriotism, which is a very important element in nationhood, we hope this discussion will help us as individuals, will help us as a government to build that spirit of patriotism in Ambazonia. Thank you once more for having me.
Dear Ambazonians and friends of Ambazonia in and around the world, that is in Ambazonia and around the world, we welcome you today to this edition of our program, which is actually meant for teaching, for educating, and for information, so that the people of Ambazonia and the world over should know where we're coming from. In this year of focus and stability, we encourage all Ambazonians to prioritize moral education, because moral education, if there is no moral education, there can be no freedom in the absence of this morality. And so we welcome you to stay tuned with us. Now, before we dive into the program of today, I want to just give you a recap of the program of the past fortnight. Remember, ethics comes your way every fortnight to keep you posted and to keep you alive, knowing very well that very soon we will get into our nation. And so brief summary of last program we had. We talked on ethics in communication, not ethics of communication, ethics in communication. And on that day, the panelists, Dr. Mungwa and of course Barrister Tim, they use not only the knowledge that they acquire from secular learning, but they also use the experience of communication to articulate and let the people of Ambazonia know that communication is very, very important. And so last week, they discussed types of communications. And of course, they went into the power of communication. And then, lastly, and very important, they went into the importance of ethics in communication. These were the main topics that they handled last 2 weeks, and they handled the topics very genuinely. So if you want to know more, I would enjoy and crave your indulgence to go back to the topic of, get back into our ABC Amber Facebook and go through this topic, and you will be acquainted with what we are actually saying. And now, today, we have some very important points of discussion which we would want to have our people look in today. The topic of today is spirit of patriotism. And in this spirit of patriotism, we will be discussing what is patriotism, what does it entail, how to show patriotism during war and after war, and then characteristics of a patriot. These are the points that we will be discussing today in our discourse. So you can see that we have a very, very rich program today. And without much ado, we will go into the discussion right away. And the first person we'll call on board is our elder brother and a seasoned servant of the people of Ambazonia, who is an educator and letting the people of the world know that if there is anything called maturity, the Ambazonian people are fully, fully matured, that even during war and genocide time like we are having in our country, men and women of caliber can come and sit on a platform like this and begin to educate, teach, and instruct the people of Ambazonia. And so, Barrister Tim, we go over to you and we want to find out from you. Can you please just go ahead and tell us what is patriotism and what does it entail? The microphone is yours, sir.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to start. And for a start, I would say that patriotism is a very difficult thing. It's not as simple as we talk here. It's difficult and complex. But we'll try to analyze it, and we'll remember that we are talking about Ambazonia. But what is Ambazonia? Ambazonia is that part of Africa that was known as British administered Trust Territory of Southern Cameroons. Like any other country in Africa, Ambazonia is a collection of tribes, different tribes, speaking different languages and different villages. And so to talk about patriotism would mean having a sense of belonging of all these tribes and villages combined, a sense of belonging to one entity. Not just a sense of belonging to one entity, but a sense of being proud of that entity to which you belong. And so that is the takeoff. And what does it mean? If we are different tribes and ethnic groups, somebody, for example, born in Jikwa, who has lived there all his or her life, Ambazonia does not mean anything to him. Or somebody born in Dog, in Bamuso, they don't know what it means. They must feel the sense of belonging to that entity called British Southern Cameroon, which is now called Amazonia. What will attach them to that? It is not the individual living in Cambe or living in Sase or living in Bamoso who will do it. No. They will do it thanks to the structures put in place by the administration, what we call the government. The government has to lay the foundation, put the bridges for somebody living in Jikwa to feel to belong in the same camp, in the same country, with the Bakwere guy living in Modica, or somebody living in Dop or Ndu, to feel proud to be in the same entity with somebody living somewhere in the BLM or Wabane. So this has to be done. It is government that has to do it. The government has to lay the foundation for that. And I give this illustration. Say, Southern Cameroon, British Southern Cameroon, which is today Amazonia, has structured its institutions from day one to build a sense of patriotism, a sense of common belonging. And this is how it was done. I will just take education, for example. All of us have heard the word Sase College. Sase College. Sase is a tiny village somewhere in Fako. Sase College was actually created in 1937. It was created by the Catholic missionaries, but it was not for Catholics only. It was created in 1937. That was the first college. It was not even created in Sase, it was created in Bujongo. Bujongo, you don't even hear the name of Bujongo. But children came to that college from everywhere in Amazonia. It was created for British administered Southern Cameroon. It was 1937. 1949 came. Bali was created. They call it CPC. CPC was Cameroon Protestant. That's what we call the Basel Mission today. It was created in Bali. Bali was not Mankon that we have today. Bali was a small village. But it was a Protestant college, not for Protestants alone. It was for Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians who qualified to go to secondary school. And they came there. That was Bali. Then came Okoyom. Okoyom was created in Manfe. It was a Catholic school. It was only for girls. Okoyom is a small village where the school was located. But all girls from British Southern Cameroon who qualified went there. After that, the next one was Sacred Heart Mancon. Sacred Heart was a Baptist, no, not Sacred Heart yet. Sacred Heart Mancon came in 1961. It was a Sacred Heart College. It was for everybody who went there. And then finally, was something they call the Sacred Baptist. It's a Baptist school. It was in Victoria. It is also for girls. Girls from Cambe, girls from Bouncer, girls from wherever who qualified went there. But what was common in this? What was common in these schools? These schools were all boarding schools. You went there, all of you slept in the same dormitories, all of you ate the same meals, and you formed your lasting relationships from there, either be girls or boys. You would, if all are like me, most of my most intimate friends that I have today, where the relationships are built in the college because we were living in the dormitories, we ate together, we played together. And for example, Sase, if somebody came from Cambe to Sase, trekking for 2 months or 3 months to get there, will you expect this child to go back to Cambe during normal days? No, he stayed there with some other family members who are not in Cambe people. So he cultivated a culture of living with a guy. The guy went to Bali, wherever he came from, because most of the women were living on food. So they built this culture of living together. And today, wherever you are, you hear something called offstand. Okay, old boys, old guys. You find something called sobas. That's say old boys, bobbers, Bali, old students, and stick around, and so on and so forth. These are the last, wherever you are, in London, all meetings there, and our children come, and their great grandchildren come to live together as children who went to the same school. As children whose parents slept in the same dormitories, shared the same bed, ate raw gari because we were drinking gari water, not even good food. But fast forward to what I want to express. A future government in Amazonia back home. You and me, it is very easy for me to liaise with as the commander, wherever he is, in Brazil, because of the internet. You can do with it. So, but how do you expect somebody in Guza to feel like he belongs to the same camp with somebody living in Dop or living in Du or living in Bamuso? How do you do it? So the government must make this possible. And to make this possible, because there's no way, sometimes I hear these debates all the time, oh, they have not done this to Africa. There's nothing like Africa. Africa are different countries built out of different tribes. People know their tribes in general more than they know the country. But again, these colleges have given, these are the first 5 secondary schools in Tanzania. They understood the college. They build their foundation based on where you are as a guy, where you are a ballet boy, where you are from Okoyam. They did not build on the fact that you were a Bafanjiman or you were a Santa girl. No, they build on where they belong. They didn't even know their teachers. They remember their teachers, not by the tribe from which they came. They remember them by the spirit by which they taught. They know, oh, that was my good geography teacher. That was my good history teacher. They don't even know what tribe these guys came from. And so that's the beginning of patriotism. In a future Ambazonian state, we must build patriotic institutions. Just taking these church schools like an example, we have to build patriotic institutions. We have to make it possible that even in the school, now the whole place is flooded with government schools. The principal of, say, a government school in Jikwa, which is somewhere in the country there, who is a good principal, can as well be a Bakore man, can as well be a Bayange man. See, the theory of somebody being the principal on your own village defeats the whole idea of patriotism. We don't remember our doctors by the village from which they come. We remember our medical doctors by the fact that this was a good doctor. Oh, I met my doctor. We don't even know where the guy came from, but he treated you well. And so you owe him that respect. You say that was a good doctor. The same thing goes to the principal. My principal was in this school. My teacher taught. I had 5 A levels. I have 10 O levels based on his or her performance. So that is what our future institutions will be like. We have been talking about Guzang Market, for example. People sell food in Guzang Market. What sense does it make if the Guzang woman or somebody from Widikum must honor end in Guzang Market, where they talk to the other person? Could we make Guzang Market, which is a very big commercial market for food and other things, could we make it larger, not by expanding the physical thing, but making it possible for somebody from the BLM, for somebody from Jakiri to easily go to Guzang Market? I mean, a Widikum woman there who is selling cocoyams or selling palm oil and things like that. Yes, but how can you do it? The government must put the structures there for the people to mix up and feel common. Feel that if you go to Goza Market to buy food and you cheat the woman, the poor seller, or she cheats you, there will be something that you can address it. Address that wrongdoing, not because you are from Bali, not because you are from Widikum, not because you are from the BLM, but because the institution sees you as part of the whole. That is what we do. And going forward, we call ourselves the Federal Republic of Amazonia. There's a lot to go into that. It's not just enough to sit down and say, I'm a federation. No, we should make the federal services available. Not that everybody must leave the country and go to Boya to receive a paper. No, let us imitate the United States, for example. Federal services can be distributed in different places. They can issue identity cards in Kambe, issue passports in Kumba. So When you decentralize the thing like that, somebody who goes to Nkambe to make an identity card or to Kumba to get a passport or things like that, you're going to meet people that it's not a Kumba service. And so we will have to discourage this idea of village tribal identity. If that had existed, this goes to the church, one, to our politicians, two. If this principle had existed, there will be nobody coming out and calling himself Mbela Mbappe, Mbela Muki, somewhere in Boya, complaining that somebody is standing on his neck because he's a bad guy, complaining that people are cheating him. Because if you ask Mbela Muki, does he even know the Southwest he's talking about? He doesn't know it. He concentrates himself in his village in Bokwango. If that had been the same, our bishops, our apostles, none of them will come out to tell you that people of the so-called Northwest or people of the Southwest cannot live together. Now, they are patriotic. They all belong to one entity called Cameroon. Just like the bishops, they belong to one entity called a diocese or a parish. And so the diocese must live together, even though a diocese is composed of different ethnic groups. They owe their allegiance to their bishop, no matter where the bishop comes from. They don't even know where the bishop comes from. No, that's our bishop. That's all. And so our politicians will be like that. The president, the prime minister, the minister will not be identified with his or her village. So he or she will not distribute jobs based on where he or she comes from. That done, we should have cultivated a sense of patriotism, a sense of common belonging. If we sue somebody in Mboya, you can sue somebody in Bamenda, you can sue somebody in India and get the same justice, because the justice will not be that of the Indian person. And that will discourage all these unpatriotic acts. Because if you send me, if I'm a medical doctor and I must practice only in, say, in Fako because I'm Bakweri, and I treated a patient and the guy dies, the tendency will be that somebody will come and accuse me that, well, you killed that child in Nyongo because we believe in Nyongo in Bakweri. But had that doctor been an Nkambe man, they will not have accused him of Nyongo because there's no Nyongo from him. They will accuse him of malpractice. And so that is the sense of patriotism. We must build the structures that accommodate all of us together. Again, British Southern Cameroon have been these 4 institutions that were located everywhere. One in Fako, one in Bale, one in Mamfe. This was British Southern Cameroon. They brought everybody together. Today we have Oxans, we have the Subans, we have many more who owe allegiance to those institutions more than they owe to their own villages. Go to an Oxan meeting, go to a Soban meeting, where all these boys, they are their grandchildren now, converge and feel a sense of belonging to the school, a sense of belonging to the institution to which you went. They still go and offer prayers for their teachers who are dead, for the good job the teachers did. They didn't even know where they came from. They identify them by the performance of their teaching. And so that is the foundation on which we should build patriotic citizens. That is the beginning from where we have to build a sense of common belonging. Destroy tribalism, destroy ethnicity. It is being destroyed in Amazonia, just like it was destroyed in this colony days. See, sometimes I get so angry, get passionate when people come to criticize the church left and right. All these institutions were created by churches, were created by religious groups. And so to do this to us, we should can only encourage them rather than destroy them. And so for this purpose, that is what I can say patriotism should entail and how to build it up. In Amazonia, we should have a ministry of ABC, but the services can be distributed in different places, like what in the United States. Somebody does not need to live in Cambe to go 2 days to Oya. Whereas they could sit there, the service could be in Cambe. The chief of that service could be a Bakari guy. He should be comfortable living there. And often, even from the past, we found that people went there who didn't come from the area, they ended up getting married there. They married children, daughters of that ethnicity. So what would you say about Grandma who got married to a Kambe person, a Kambe woman? Where are his children from? Are they in Kambe or they are Bakwari? They're not Amazonians. And so that is what it should be. That's the beginning of building patriotic institutions that will produce patriotic citizens. Over to you, sir.
Wow. Thank you very much, Barrister. That's very exhaustive, and very clear. La Republic came in with divide and rule, but patriotism is creating a system that everybody, Sase College, by the Catholics, did not only admit the Catholics, and so on and so forth. That is a powerful illustration of what it means to be a patriot. Thank you so very much. Now we'll cross over to Dr. Tom. Would you say a better understanding of patriotism by our people on home front would save lives and frustrate La République du Cameroon? Over to you.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. Definitely, that would be the case. I mean, kudos to Barrister Tim, who always puts out his points with concrete examples that we can all relate to. I mean, he already said much about patriotism and how it is being affected in the free Ambazonia, in a post-war Ambazonia, and how it used to be in the 50s and the 60s, and even under the rule of the evil La République regime. Well, being patriotic, I would add to it, is not only, loving the nation, but how you do it, how the nation is defined. Our nation, the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, has a government, one legitimate people's government, the government which is the continuation. We do not have an interim government, not anymore. We have now a government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, headed by President Sako, who is the head of the executive branch. The government has three branches: the executive, headed by President Sako; the legislative, our House of Representatives, headed by Mawini Lobati, and the judiciary, headed by none other than our able barrister Tim Beseha himself, who is here, one of our panelists. And that is what we understand as the nation of Ambazonia. And you have to respect those structures and see the nation as it is, one with separate, with division of powers, and not follow any individuals or groups or whatever who call themselves leaders of Ambazonia. That way you'll be loving your nation. And on top of that, being patriotic also means you do not see your own brother or sister of the same nation as an enemy. Our only enemy at the moment that we are at war is La République du Cameroon, not other Southern Cameroonians or Ambazonians who are going about their business. So what is happening with some so-called groups who are claiming to be leaders of Ambazonia? They are not respecting the constitution. They are not following this government, which is the continuation of the governments of Endele, Foncha, Joa, and Sisiku, now headed by President Sako. They do not have ethical codes of conduct like we do. And we have done much to weed out strong individuals and groups and make the laws strong, and the ethical code of conduct, the constitution. Yes, we've done much to see to it that the ordinary Amazonian not only understands it but practices it, and in all the LGAs and counties and departments, there has to be an ethics commission to take care of unethical behavior. I mean, latest case being the ABC Amber TV, headed by Ma Emma, who took a decision concerning a controversial episode there by one presenter who did not respect the ethical codes of conduct, the Amazonian ethical codes of conduct, and kudos to that. So that is the definition of patriotism: respecting the laws of Amazonia, the constitution, the Amazonian ethical code of conduct, and rallying behind the one legitimate government of the people that has boots on the ground, that has a say in all the 13 counties and in all the 61 LGAs of Amazonia. And if you are following some other person or group or whoever, then you are indirectly promoting infighting among our brave fighters. That is unpatriotic. And you are projecting that into a post-war Amazonia where we will all sit in one parliament, government, opposition, whatever, and debate about issues. If out here in the diaspora, you are incapable of doing such a thing, you call yourself a leader, but you are incapable of sending out a hand of reconciliation to others or collaborate, then you are unfit for governing when we reach Boya. You are unpatriotic, and such people should not be followed. So, of course, that would, in that respect, it would save lives on home front as we speak, because being unpatriotic, being being a leader, a so-called leader of a group, where knowing there is the government of the people, you do not want to collaborate with that government, and you have people down on home front with guns that you are controlling. That is the private militia, and that leads to infighting. That goes to groups like ADF and the other devilish groups out there who sanction the killing of their own people instead of fighting the enemy. So that is unpatriotic. That would save lives to come and collaborate. You say, I don't like this government. I don't like President Sako. Good, fair enough. Not everybody should like him. Come and collaborate. There is Team Act, where everybody who has a stake in the Amazonian, in the independence quest of Amazonia comes there, and we collaborate and we pull in the right direction. So there is no reason to sit there and say, oh, I don't want to work together, I don't want to collaborate, unless you want to be a power monger. That is unpatriotic, that leads to loss of lives. And lastly, unity. Patriotism means, respecting the same nation, the same flag, the same constitution, the same ethical codes of conduct, and having a strong bond amongst us, striving for unity no matter what. That, of course, would frustrate the enemy and would take us faster to Boya, because we will have that critical mass, everybody doing the same thing in their own way towards the same goal. So, which is total independence of Amazonia. So that is what I can say to this, to the question as to if patriotism would save lives and frustrate the Republic, our arch enemy. It definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tom. Yes, the understanding of what patriotism actually means will frustrate La Republic and save lives. All this that divide and rule that they are still coming in with some of ours is not a good deal at all. But as we continue to educate the people of Ambazonia, something will happen. Now let's go over to the third point of discussion. La Republic has sent Clovis and Nambere to diaspora, probably to lure, tempt our ASA to surrender. Can you advise our ASA who might be having second thoughts? Over to you, Barrister. I think the point of discussion is very clear.
It's very clear, but I don't know why they choose to give me such funny but delicate topics. Now, Nambere and Clovis were dealing with ethics. Nambere and Clovis are morally bankrupt. They're ethically bankrupt people. But they're just the tip of the iceberg. So I can start from them, though, since I mentioned the name. I myself will not want to mention them. But to mention them is to start from bitter leaf to sugar. And let me illustrate why these people are. These people don't have any morality. They don't have any ethical thing for whatever they are doing. If they send them to abroad for any reason's sake, if they were people with some morality in them, it's not enough to ask our restoration fighters, ASA, to lay down their arms and go to the DDRO. It's not enough. That's the mistake they make. It is a mistake. And there are many people before them. They are elders. They are seniors in age. They are seniors in money. They are seniors in academic achievements who are repeating the same thing. Lay down your arms and go to the DDRO. That is very simple to say. But we must remember that the guys who have the arms, who are being asked to lay down their arms, are relatively young. They're very young children, in their 20s, 30s at best. But why are they carrying arms? If that mission were assigned to you as Clovis, as Nambere, who are just even messengers, if they were assigned to you as John Gute, as Musonge, these are people old in age. These are people well educated. These are politicians well placed. Your answer should have been, what will I tell that child who has laid down his or her arms? What will I tell him about his father or mother who was killed? What will I tell him about the village to which he used to go, which no longer exists? Why don't you address this issue of the mother who died for no reason at all? If there was a reason, come and tell your mother died of diarrhea, died of dysentery. And then the child will say, we'll forgive you. If the dysentery came because of dirty water, that they didn't find good water to drink. But just asking them to lay down their arms and go back to join you is the most corrupt, the most immoral thing human beings should do to the other one. Human beings have common things have a lot of things in common. Human beings in general, whether they are white, black, or green, or yellow, whether they come from Europe, Africa, Asia, anywhere in the world, from India, they have something common. The common thing that human beings have is ability to feel pain, what is caused to them. Ability to forgive those who come back to them and apologize for their wrongdoing. Ambazonians are just human beings. And if you have killed their people, rightly or wrongly, something is annoying them. That's why they carry arms. And so you're asking them to lay down their arms without addressing the causes of why they carry their arms is to be totally morally bankrupt. That's why I said you should address every single Ambazonian, politicians, religious leaders, and any other people who assume leadership. That's what it is. That's what it is. And so the nursery, Clovis, and the Nambere are just the tip of the iceberg. They are just messengers bearing a message from their mentors, who are by every standard old, a good number of them older than me. So the history I give you of what it means They know it better than me. They are by their educational upbringing better than me 10 times. They are by their political experience a million times better than me. I've never been in politics. They are in their religious upbringing, everything you can imagine in the world. I've never been a catechist, but they are bishops. they are pastors. And so just addressing, oh, things are going back to normal, lay down your arms, is the greatest act of immorality you can commit to a people. The best thing you could do, that's why I say I start from bitter leaf, that's bitter leaf, to sugar, is to tell your sender, the man for whom you are postulating, Pa, let us go and talk to these children why their parents died. They will not come back, but they have to understand why their parents died and apologize to them. Look at what happened, for example, in South Africa to conclude this point. We're here by the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. What were they saying? They were simply telling the truth. People had been killed. The Oliver Tambos had died. They were not coming back to life. But they needed somebody to explain why they would have killed Oliver Tambo just for wanting equality in color. And then they conclude that chapter. They are not bringing him back to life, but they need to know that fact. They needed to know why somebody will go to jail for 27 years for just standing up, talking with his mouth. Nelson Mandela never carried any arm. Talking with his mouth that apartheid was a bad thing. They needed to know why he did this, to close that chapter. And so, Ambazonia, where it is Clovis, where it is Nambere, where it is Mosonge, where it is Diongute, whoever is teaching this, preaching this doctrine, where it is a bishop, archbishop, or pope, without addressing the people who are sending them, get these people, talk to them why this thing going, where it went wrong, apologize. Then they can lay down their arms. War don't end with the laying of arms down. War always end, if you want it to end, by addressing the root causes on the conference table. If they lay down their arms because they can no longer fight the war, they are just postponing the war for another day. If they are not address the causes of apartheid, they just say, okay, we'll give you Mandela power. Apartheid would have revived. The war would have started again after the death of Mandela. But after giving the power to Mandela, they address the root causes of the problem in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. People apologize. Just talk with your mouth. I'm sorry for this I did to you. And that chapter was closed. Maybe we don't know. In Rwanda, we have been tweeting genocide in Rwanda, genocide left and right. Genocide in Rwanda was unacceptable, was untenable. The world wanted to handle genocide like a crime. They created the Arusha court to try those who committed genocide in Rwanda and Burundi. It was a court. Ben Muna, that we talked about a few days ago, was the prosecutor on that court. But what happened? Kagame came to power and said, it took a very long time to try one man there. Let us end this thing in our own way. He created his own court, they called the Kachacha. Local court in Rwanda. Nobody was sent to prison. He just came forward and said, well, I killed my wife, or I killed my brother, because I thought that he was a Hutu or he was a Tutsi. I'm very sorry for that. Chapter closed. The people who were victims left it. He had apologized. There's nothing they're going to do. They forgave you. So no hatred ends by force without addressing why you're hitting the guy and promising that you will not do it again next time. So Clovis and Nambere, who are by every standard, by my own imagination, they're just gangsters. They're thieves who are doing it for the purpose of money. Nambere is on record for saying that he took money to help these people fight because they were killing their parents, and he ate it and called it his salary. He chopped the money and called it his salary. He took money while people were going in buses to try to take them back to Yaoundé to go to DDR. He flew by plane to Yaoundé to Simale. So what's the moral, what's the bankrupt agent can we do that? He's going down the streets of London or any place in Europe. Once in London, you can go to France. That's the European Union. You can go to anywhere. He's having all that. What does he say to his wife? I heard him say that he had lost his wife and his 7 children who cannot leave that place. because there's no road, because they even destroyed the only bridge that was left. That they could not even go to any clinic, that they cannot even go to school. Why? Simply because they are what they call Anglophones. So these are people who are morally bankrupt. They are bitter leaf in the name of ethical values. Can you wash bitter leaf to become sugar? Of course, it is possible. If you wash it 20, 50 times over, if you can resist the power of water, maybe it will not be as bitter as it was. But there's no way bitter leaf will become sugar anytime, any day, in a year soon. Over to you, sir.
Wow. Thank you. Again, very explicit and straight to the point. Is it possible for bitter leaf to become sugar? Well, Nambere, Clovis, if you are really Ambazonians, give a thought. But what I want to let you know is that you can never force people to stay together. You can never force a marriage, or you can never force a horse that has been taken to water to drink water if he doesn't want. Now, we're going to go ahead and cross over to our doctor. How would you describe a true patriot, Dr. Tom? How would you describe a true patriot? Over to you. You are muted. You are muted, Dr. Tom.
Oh, thank you, Pastor Commando. I would say Barrister Tim has already aligned most of those things that define a true patriot. I would start by saying what it is not. The Namberes and the Clovis and all the collaborators that are handing our people over to La République and have sold themselves over to the enemy for money are everything other than patriots. And to be patriotic is to know who you are as not as an individual, but as a collective. I mean, for the Germans here, no matter who you are, what color of skin you have, and all that, they expect you to respect the Constitution, the German way of doing things, the German way of living, to respect the culture, well, not totally accept it or practice it, but to respect that there is the culture here in Germany that people respect, and not come and try to impose your own way of doing things on the German people. They will not like it. Likewise with us in Ambazonia. So to be patriotic is to know what your state is, what your nation is, what your people are, the culture, the beliefs, the traditions, the constitution, their way of life, and to respect it and to practice it and to defend it against the enemy. Just like in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, what we've been practicing, I mean, as our culture, as our identity, since the 50s, the 60s, as we were autonomous under Prime Ministers Endele, Foncha, Joa, and all of them. And we've jealously guarded that. And, well, failure to do so and to be doing the contrary, or to be tramping upon all that, is not being patriotic. And it was met with big sanctions that we know about. In La République, that was no more the case. I mean, for patriotism, maybe La République citizens, many of them are patriotic, but for us, I can speak for myself, it was difficult being like really saying, oh yeah, I'm very patriotic, a Cameroonian at the time. I didn't even know that Southern Cameroons had existed. I felt a type because you just feel you are different. Not only do they speak the colonial language of French and we speak that of English, but the way of doing things, the indirect rule that the colonialists had an impact upon us. I mean, they who were directly ruled by France, they were robbed of that ability to think, to critically think for themselves, and then take their own decisions. They would always want to have some central figure do that for them. That's why they have their centralized government in Yaoundé, and we have this the LGAs and the counties. That is in our way of doing things, in our nature. So I never really felt that patriotic because I knew something was missing. And even here in Germany, in the diaspora, we from the southern Cameroons, we had our meeting. There was a so-called Cameroonian meeting, but we had our own meeting here, knowing that we are different from them. So to be patriotic is to accept and practice and support the cultural norms, the constitution, the way of living. So deep down within them, you ask any Southern Cameroonians who is still living under the slavery of La République back home, they will not really say they are patriotic. So that is what I can say to all that. And we are fostering this patriotism already out here in the diaspora as the government in exile, where we advise our people read and know your history, know your culture, and know that we are not only coming to invent a state called Southern Cameroon's Amazonia. That is a state that had already existed as being autonomous in the 1950s and 60s, and we are only restoring that that nation with that distinct culture, which is totally different than that of La Republic. So being patriotic is knowing where you come from and respecting it and projecting it out to the world and fighting for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tom. Thank you so very much. You see, it is said that you do not change the team that is winning. You know, anybody that goes to change a team that is winning is one of the most foolish persons that is going into exploration that do not know the results. And so, talking and quoting Southern Cameroons of the 1950s is very, very plausible, and that is where we are going back because the Republic has caused not enough of corruption, and some of us who witnessed a little bit of Southern Cameroons and we are still alive, we are putting down this down in history so that those who are coming behind us will listen and know where we came from and where we are. And now, excuse me, Barrister, well, let me just read your point of discussion point, and then if you want to add something to what Doctor has just said, that would be wonderful. Acts of patriotism always produce positive results that benefits the masses. That explains the geopolitical shift that we are seeing in Francophone countries now. Why are La République du Cameroon so unpatriotic? Over to you, Barrister.
I will not want to address Africa or Republic of Cameroon. I want to center myself essentially on Ambazonia with the same topic. See, the same segment is asking us to address 2 or 3 issues. First, it says acts of patriotism that benefit the masses will lead to more people becoming patriotic. That's in summary what they are saying there. And so it is calling first, these acts of patriotism is coming from who? They are coming from the administrators, from the leaders. If you are made a leader in any form, administrative leader, a political leader, a religious leader, and your acts are not appreciated, they are not patriotic, the masses will not accept them. The masses will reject them. And so there will be no patriotism at the end of the day. So, but if your acts as an administrator, as a political leader, are patriotic, that benefit the masses equitably, you would have in your little office, which is 1 room or 2 rooms, have promoted the notion of patriotism within your own community, within your own constituency. And that's what it is. And let me give this example. You see, demographics are very, very natural. Over the years, some groups, demographic groups, simply get extinct. That's a fact. It's not something you can argue. Some grew faster and became tenfold what they were before. And so if you're an administrator there, and you don't deal with these things with the patriotic sense of what it is, you are not being patriotic, you're not helping the masses, they will throw you out. Let me give an example of what I saw this week. Something has been going on in Tico there, the creation of chiefdoms. You met so-called a duo in FACO, the senior divisional officer or sub-divisional officer of Tico. And you're trying to revive history by saying that 100 years ago, there was a village standing on this piece of place, which has become CDC land in the last 100 years. They can no longer trace those people even. But you look for somebody and create him a chief of a non-existent village. That particular spot where his criminal his father used to live, there are houses standing there, people are living there, there are beer there, put houses there, approved, their plans approved by the administration. Where do you want them to go? They are going to reject your idea. And I saw it very pitifully. Somewhere in Tico, they created a village. The citizens who live there arrested that guy. I say it's an imposter, we don't know him. And so how was this act of Mr. Dio creating this chief in this place which has become non-existent over the past 50, 60 years? Where is the patriotism there? People who live there see you as not a patriot because you are trying to dispossess them of their houses. They are asking this guy to come there, not to rule over anybody, but to extort money from them, calling himself a once upon a time absent landlord. And so how do we promote patriotism through that angle? You can't do it. It is inequitable, it is unjust, it is morally bankrupt. And this will take me to the second analysis, which is very practical. What we call FACO today, most people think that FACO is the reserve of Bakwere people. Now, in FACO, you also have the Balums. Go to Moyoka, the people who live in Balum, in Moyoka and Malende are Balum people. But they are not as many as the Bakweres, who occupy the rest of FACO, from Owe to Bafia to Moyenge to Boya and all those places. And so you have to realize that fact. In the 1997, for example, when they were doing council elections, that's the first time the SDF went in. And they won Moyoka Council. There was a law in Cameroon there that you must look for indigents to be leaders. And coincidentally, they didn't find a Baluma who was going to lead the Moyoka Council list for the SDF. And so the SDF list won. There was no Balongman there that could make him the mayor. And so the prefect in Victoria refused to come and swear in the guy on the ground that the list did not include Balong people or natives. Okay. The guy sat there, he didn't know what to do. Then he wrote to the Ministry of Territorial Administration, saying that, well, my list won the elections, I'm supposed to be the mayor. The DU has refused to come and install me because they need a Balong man who does not exist. There were no longer Balong people there. I was there when the last Balong man who could be there, Moyoka Mokete, died. His son died. He was working with a marketing board. He had gone to Sase. He came out and died. I don't think that he left children. So there was no Balong man they could find. But this guy wrote to the minister complaining that they have refused to swear him in because according to them, his SDF list did not comprise Balong or Bakuri people. He said, they have not found one. So what do you want us to do? Moyoka should be without a mayor. The minister gave the most intelligent reply I could ever imagine. The minister wrote to him and said, well, if we are list one, your ability to be mayor does not depend on a certain man from Victoria called SDO coming to install you. If they don't come to install you, you're going to do your work. Enter the office. What's the work of a mayor? Sign death certificates, sign birth certificates, and move on. That's a magnanimous leader who knew what he was doing, a francophone sitting in the Ministry of Territorial Administration. The guy sat there, he did his job. That notion of looking for a native, a Baloman to be the head of the list, died. And so you must take a patriotic decision that the masses would follow. Patriotic decision means that you must look at equity. Is it equitable for me to do this, to take this action? Is it in the interest of the nation? That's what patriotism means. Is it in the interest of the nation? If people living in Moyoka, 50, 60, 70,000 of them have voted a mayor, is it patriotic for me? Is it of the national interest for me to refuse to put this man there simply because he has not found a trash man there? No. Because the interest of these 50, 60, 70,000 people who live in Moyoka is more than the interest of 1, 2 natives you want to put them there as mayors. They just take bribe. And so when the leadership takes positions, that the masses will follow. What do you think the people of Moyoka talk of that guy, that prefect, or that man? Say, now we unman this. Now we unman this. You didn't even know the guy in here when he wrote the paper. But that's the own man. That's the own Cameroonian. That's the man that they could owe allegiance to. And so this segment deals with, which I've already dealt with already, with leadership. Patriotism has to start from our leaders, our political leaders, our administrative leaders, our religious leaders. And so once they do it, the masses will follow. Then the bigger bulk, the chunk, the collective notion of patriotism will work. The masses will follow. They say, now we own priest that, now we own bishop that, now we own do that. Because you have shown the magnanimity of patriotism. You are defending the people. The laws you are defending there are the laws of your own country. For example, in this case, the laws of Cameroon. That was a national law, patriotic. And so the same thing should apply to Amazonia. And I end it here. I've given this example before of how in the 1967, there was a public service commission in Boyade. At the time, these children graduating from secondary school at Bishop becoming so many, they instituted a public service exam, how to get to public service. Everybody wrote, they put there by order of merit, and they employed like that. If the first 5 were from one family, they had the jobs because they had qualified by being there. If you were the last or the 100th, and were the son of the king, of the prime minister, of the president, they were not going to change it there because patriotism required that you get this job by merit. Because you are not going to work in your village. When you go to the other village or to the other community, you can hold your flag high because you merit the job. You qualify to get the job. Not by virtue of your ethnicity, not by virtue of your tribe, not by virtue of your village, but by virtue of your competence. Competence would build patriotism. Discrimination destroys the notion of a nation, of patriotic belonging. And so, again, back to Ambazonia. Those who preach the doctrine, oh, this one cannot live here. The Norway cannot live with the Southwest. Oh, Bakwe cannot live with Balong. That is unpatriotic. Because all those tribes, all those ethnic groups form an entity called Ambazonia. An Ambazonia in Victoria can work in Du. An Ambazonia in Du can work in Bamaso. An Ambazonia in Bamaso can work in Boya. And so that is how the masses will learn to cultivate the attitude of patriotism. Because when you recruit him, you will not say that you were recruited because you was a Bamaso man. Because you were in Dumahia, you recruited him because you qualified for the job. You qualified for a job being given out to be paid by the taxpayer of Amazonia. Gold discovered in Gambe is gold for Amazonia. Oil mined or exported from Victoria is oil for Amazonia. The money from that oil should go to go and dig the road. You should not say it is not found in the northern zone. The cocoa grown and sold from Monyenge, Victoria, should to build a school in Dub. The proceeds from there. And that is what the CDC, for example, was about. And let me end it there. The CDC was established effectively in 1948. The proceeds from the CDC was meant for development. The first consignment of the profits they made for the CDC opened a school, government school in Bamenda, opened a government school in Manfred, they opened a government school in Victoria. They didn't care where there was no CDC in Manfred, there was no CDC in Bamenda. The proceeds were meant to develop the people. These were all citizens of Ambazonia. They were going to school as Ambazonians, as British Southern Cameroonians. And so patriotism must start from the top, go down to the roots before it grows. So again, let us take this patriotic segment. From the top, from leadership of anything, of a church, of a Christian, of a religious organization, of a political constituency, of an administrative unit. And so shall we be able to be an ethically sound Ambazonia. Over to you.
Oh, again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. People of Ambazonia, I don't know whether I want to hear because I'm tempted to change this one to country talk. I don't know whether you are all understanding. That is where we are coming from. And we have realized that trying to mix oil with cold water or with warm water cannot hold. And that's exactly what has been going on for the past 60 something years with La Republic of Cameroon, where our virtues were dragged and pushed in the mud. Time has come for us to go right back and carry out patriotism. Patriotism is for the people and not an individual. Somebody coming from a Nam in Yaoundé speaking one stupid language that we don't understand, come and sit and say it's not going to install because there's native. Oh, come on here. My God. Thank you very much, Barrister. After this brief advert, we will be right back to pick up the last segment of our discussion today. So just stay tuned and let's get this. Oh, one moment. What's going on here? Okay. All right, let's go. Yes, and that is it. Coming to you from ABC Amber TV, our program Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia. Thank you very much, panelist, Dr. Tom, Barrister Tim. It's so exciting having us in this um, program. We have talked a lot about patriotism during war. What can you tell Ambazonians about patriotism post-war? Dr. Tom, over to you.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. Well, during war, we've talked about patriotism. Now we are at war with whom? With La République du Cameroon, whose intention has always been for over 62 years to keep us in bondage, to subdue our way of life, our culture, our inheritance, and to steal, to kill, to destroy what is ours and claim it belongs to all of us. Now, we have people who now are enablers, are reporting our people to the La République, evil soldiers to come and kill them, people who are collaborating with them, and people who are, quoting examples here in Germany where I live, there are so-called Southern Cameroonians who have vowed to be calling out the Ambazonian leaders in the diaspora, that is us, including me, and reporting them to the authorities here, that those are the people causing war back home. Well, I've told them, well, this is my address. This is where I live. You come and get me if you dare. So there are people, and such people are so ignorant of their own history, or they don't even want to know. They do know, but they don't. They are afraid of the consequences. They are too cowardly to join the fold, or they have their privileges in La République that they don't want to let go of, which is why they will not support the enslavement of their own people, the liberation of their own people from bondage. So in a post-war Ambazonia, we would not only frown upon people who try to remind us of La République or try to get us back there, or try to say, unasiam, diti no go waka, and all that. They should better remain in La République than come over to us. And patriotism would mean not putting into office anybody who, for whatever reason, is trying to lure us back to La République, or is not for the total independence of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, or is for a so-called federation with La République. So all those practicing all such things today, being blacklegs, being enablers, collaborators of our enemy, know that with such attitude, your place is not in an independent Amazonia unless you become patriotic, unless you get to not only know your history, your people, what we are standing for, what we are fighting for, total independence for Amazonia, but also support it. So that is being patriotic, and that is how patriotism post independence will be rewarded. You will not be eligible to stand for any office if you were not only an enabler, a collaborator, a blackleg, but you have not repented of that. You have not accepted that that was something bad and repented of that. You will not be eligible for any office, any public office. And there will be laws to deal with such people who today are not only enabling that we be persecuted by La République, but are doing the job of La République by persecuting their own people who are standing for independence. So mind you, we will not forget that when we get to Boya. But there is still chance while here in the diaspora, while here out here, that you recant from your evil doings, that you come back into the fold and help us get our total recognition of our independence and get back to Boya. You can support anonymously, you can support without your names or faces being shown out there. We are here for that. We will show our faces, we will voice out what our people need and want, but you don't have to stand in our way, in the way of your own people, because we will not forget that when we get to Boya. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tom. Thank you. Thank you. Ambazonians, we are switching gears. Yeah, we are switching gears to our Know Your Ethics segment. The government wants Ambazonians to be informed patriots when we have our nation. So we don't want you to only stay out, we want you to be informed patriots. Ethics Commission decided to take the ethics code to the people by reading out a portion of it each time we meet. And today we will read section 5, 7, number 7. I don't know how they call it, section 5, but part 7 or whatever name they give it, under the topic avoiding conflicts of interest. So we'll go ahead to read this patriotic segment that is found in our ethics booklet or ethics code of ethics. Post-government employment. Formal elected members and employees should limit communications or appearances before the government on behalf of parties with whom the former elected member and or employee may have interacted when employed by the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Sensitive knowledge acquired throughout one's employment with the government must not be divulged, divulged, wow, now BB grammar that, or referenced to outside government entities. Former elected members and or employees should not undermine the public's confidence in the integrity of the government through their actions or words. A period of time to be specified by the government should have passed between the conclusion of one's administrative tenure and the beginning of related public and or private sector endeavors. There should likewise be practical administrative arrangements and or conditions in place within the government that provides guidelines for employment after separation from the government. These restrictions should prohibit a former employee from providing certain services to or on behalf of non-government employers or other persons, whether or not those services are done for compensation. Now, that is the segment we had for today. And over to you, Barrister Tim. You have any comment?
I don't have comments, but I have only my closing statements.
Remarks.
And my,
Okay.
and my closing statement is thus. As we head to Boya as a government, I will recommend, unless I die, that once in Boya, you see, we're not going to abolish our tribes. The tribes that we have, the ethnic differences that we have, should be tapped into a whole to make our blending, our administrative blending, our administration, our political landscape very, very patriotic, more accommodating to everybody called Ambazonia. And we can do this, we should do this in two ways. In our universities, there should be a department for cultural integration, cultural education. They will be taught there how we can blend our cultures together. As a government, we should be able to build a very big and important museum. Give ourselves 10 years to put up that museum. Call it the Museum for Cultural and Ethnic Blending, whatever we call it. I don't know what we call it. And that museum should be able to represent a bit of every single cultural, ethical group that we have in Amazonia. I don't know where we located it. We're going to locate it. But if I had the opportunity, I would not even put it in Boya. We'll put it somewhere and ask our artists, our professors, to design a number of things inside there. They will draw things that we can put there. We will have documents that we can write that represent each culture. If it's something, say, for example, from the Bamita community, there should be something that somebody can read about it, not be a Bamita guy. Or even be a Bamita guy who was born today who didn't know. If it's something from the Bakwere, there should be some literature that accompanies it. So we'll have this big museum that will reflect what we are, that will promote our togetherness. I would abolish anything they call the Bilingualism Commission or whatever common living or other nonsense. It will go and go forever. It will be replaced with this type of institutions where children are born in Kumba, and in order they have their brothers and sisters in Kambe, in Banso, or in Dab. Where children are born in Dab, in order they have their cousins in Diam, they have their cousins in Kumba, they have their cousins in Bangam, and they can live together. That is what will produce the administrators that we need in the future Ambazonia. An Ambazonia that will be a blend of all the tribes, all the ethnicities, and the cultures that will make it a nation, that will produce patriotic citizens. Over to you, sir, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Dr. Tom, you have your concluding statements?
Yes, thank you, Pastor Commando. Thank you very much, Barrister Team, for always being there. I would like to inform all Ambazonians today, 62 years after our granted and stolen independence that was restored in 2017, we are nearest to our independence as we have ever been. And we've had many diplomatic breakthroughs, little, but in the right direction, some major ones, which cannot be divulged right now. Rest assured, we are on the fastest train to Boya, and we out here are doing everything to make sure that the world listens to us and grants us that independence that they promised us in 1961, that they actually granted us, but stole again by saying independence by joining. And so everybody should rest assured that will definitely come to pass. Maybe not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, but it will come to pass. It is coming. Meanwhile, we should support our people back home. Go through your LGA and your county, support our brave fighters on home front, support the HSS, which is doing a marvelous job, taking care of our refugees in Nigeria and elsewhere in the world, and be patriotic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister and Doctor, and all televiewers and beneficiaries of this program, Ethics Commission and the Ethics for a Developing Ambazonia. We want to assure you that Ambazonia will continuously be there to make sure that we educate you and put you to understand how a nation is supposed to be built. And with that, we call it a quit for today, and see you in the fortnight for another edition of this educative program. God bless you. Have a wonderful
From the
weekend.
savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora,
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora,
the Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
we are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as the moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 4 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.